Hello everyone and welcome along to the opening round of a brand new season. That's right, it's season 2 of the ILR League. It's ILR1, it's the Xbox tier, and we are in for a fantastic season of action. We had 21 rounds last time out, we're down to 11 as we count down to the F1 2019 game. But this season, just like last, will be just as important, just as fierce and just as exciting. We've got 20 drivers, we have got new drivers, we've got new teammates and new rivalries building, but you still have the same old commentary duo in the box, and it's me, Ginger Andy, joining us again this season. We've got James Baker, and James, I'm sure we're going to have more fun over the course of this season, aren't we?
I'm hoping we do as well. Good evening everyone, welcome along. It's great to be back. This is what we want to see, more ILR action. We haven't had a dull ILR race. I've only missed one in this whole Xbox period, and I'm hoping the season will be as exciting as ever. Once again, we don't have the reigning champion on the grid. He's not with us, along with a couple of others who might be notable. Don't let that put you off. There are some brilliant drivers in this league, ready to prove a point, and there are plenty, I think, to even go as far as winning the championship. There are about 5 or 6 protagonists, I'd say, looking out the box straight away, that could win a championship here.
Yep, absolutely. It really has closed up. You know, interestingly, this season, no Josh, as you say, the champion from last season, who really did romp it in some style. No Simon, no Evo, who joined the season last year midway through. They have decided not to race this season, which is a bit of a surprise. But are we bothered? Not really, because it really has closed up the action. They were the 3 drivers you would say that looked most likely to win races last year. I know we had surprises at times with other drivers winning, but we're now left in a situation where everyone that's racing now is on a pretty level playing field. They're all quite evenly matched. And, you know, it is really difficult to call a winner. If I was to call one now and say who the favourite was, I would say it's OMG, it's Joe. But Joe isn't here this week, and when it's only 11 races in a season, you need to be here for every single one, don't you?
Exactly right, you do. I think with him not being able to attend the first round, it puts a whole different dimension. And I know during the season we may see drivers who may not be able to make races. In many ways then, it's like a drop score, like a drop round. Find it in like other forms of motorsport. They have that kind of thing. There's no regulation, so we've got a drop score, but in this case, drivers have to make the most of every race they're a part of. And with people like Joe, I made the bold prediction in saying that the driver who wins this championship won't win the most races. So I don't think he's totally out of it immediately, but he's going to have some performances as the season progresses.
Well, we spoke about predictions, didn't we? Bold predictions, that was the talk before we got going tonight. Let's have a look at a few bold predictions for the season. That's the ones that you think might come off, but there's an element of risk behind your prediction. And I've gone for TRL Limitless to fight for the title. He did not win a single race last season, but I think with his pace, with his ability, he will challenge at the front and will, in my opinion, will take the fight all the way to Brazil, if not go on to win it. Jason, 97 F1, I think he will win a race in this tier. I think he's so strong, so consistent, very rarely picks up penalties. He can win a race. And Murso, a man that's been improving and improving massively, taking huge strides week by week ever since the game was released. I think he will get a win as well this season. What about yourself, James? Talk us through your bold predictions for the season ahead.
Yep, so I've gone with a couple of bold predictions. I said they're quite open. Basically, the ones I've gone for is I don't think we'll have a 1-2 finish this season. I can't see. There's great driver lineups, great pairings, but I can't see, because how close the grid is, can't really see anyone being able to do it. We only had it at a few occasions last season, and that was with McLaren, with even Simon. That's one of my predictions. The next one is I think we'll have 5 different winners this season. If there's only 11 rounds, that's quite a tall order, I'd say, but definitely possible. As I said, close proximity of the grid. No reason why it can't. And then obviously my third prediction was I don't think that the winner of the championship will win the most races. I think it will surely come down to consistency. Be consistent, you don't have to win every race, you simply have to just outscore everyone, or just score as many points as you can accumulate, where perhaps others may not do so. So they're my predictions. Yeah,
well, interesting predictions, no doubt about it. 5 different winners in 11 races. Who, in your eyes, would be the main contenders for those 5 victories, James? Who springs to mind for you as the man to pick up a victory, or the men to pick up the victories?
So I'm looking at likes of Limitless. We know I think will be very strong again this year. Joe is very strong. Snap in the evenings come back, and we know how strong he is. I think that it's just a case of maybe just, I don't want to say an outsider, but Leopard I think isn't an outsider. He could definitely win a race this season. And then to throw one in the mix, someone maybe like Jason, maybe like Morso, maybe like Sierra in the Williams. I mean, there's not been a lot said of people like Sierra, and Holland's making his return as well. They're all very, very quick drivers, and I can see one of those trying to take a win. Let's not discount Tyrrell Martin as well. I'm sure he will be right up there fighting for wins, and definitely on the podium in as many races as well.
Well, the man whose Achilles heel for much of last season, TRL Limitless, he is the man on top at the moment. He struggled in qualifying so often last term, but he really is on the pace here, and he is on top with 8 minutes to go in qualifying with that 1 minute 19.130. He's a 10th clear of LCR Leopard, who we know is capable of fighting for a championship in the opening season on Xbox. He was right up there in the mix. Let's go and watch him as he tackles this Albert Park circuit. It is a challenging racetrack, high speed for a street circuit, you could say, James. Is there anyone anywhere in the racetrack you would say provides the biggest challenge? Where is it toughest for the drivers to get right?
This whole middle sector, actually, it's such a difficult one to really nail. You've got to clip every curb. You can't run too wide. We saw happen to Charles Leclerc in Australia this year. It's just getting it all wrong. You take flat out on the most part, but look at this section here. As you dive down towards the end of the first sector, it actually turns left on before you have to swing the car right in towards this long right-hander towards 9 and 10. And this is a difficult part of the circuit to nail, I think. You can pick up so much time through this sector, and 11 and 12 is also one you've got to nail. He's getting a nice slipstream from Baztek ahead of him, his teammate this year. Baztek had some stellar drives, I'd say, last season. Flat out almost through 11 and 12. Don't want to touch that exit curve onto the third part of the DRS zone.
I have to say, Leopard on the exit there was on rails, James. He was flying through there. You know, he did get the toe from his teammate, but at the same time, you might have wondered if it put him off slightly going into the apex of that high-speed chicane. But going by the speed he carried through the exit, I think he was absolutely fine. And he's coming round the final corner and up to the line. It's just going to be a pole position time for LCR Leopard. It sure is, and by some margin, 0.3 of a second on top ahead of TRL Limitless. That is a big benchmark to lay down from Leopard, and he's flown to the top of the timesheet. I've got to say, the exit speed he carried going through that going through that high-speed chicane was absolutely ridiculous, and he goes to the top spot. So a good time there from Leopard. We know he can challenge for a title. He did so in season 1, and is he looking at doing it once again, James?
Perhaps he is. Perhaps he is. He was on rails. That final sector of the lap, absolutely stunning from Leopard. There's no, he really was on rail. And to be honest, he just, it didn't really look like the car was understeering at any point. That's the biggest issue with the circuit, the nature of understeer, just natural understeer you get from the nature of the camber, the corners. I mean, he's nailed it in many ways there. So an 18.8, that is some benchmark, and that is going to be some challenge for all guys behind him to really test and see where they can place themselves against a benchmark like that. I think they're going to struggle. I think he could be safe here.
Yeah, it's a very strong effort from LCR Leopard, no doubt about it. Much like on the last game, he was very quick towards the end of a game cycle, and he might be proving it again here. But look how close it is behind him. Limitless in P2, all the way down to Martin in P8, covered by 0.2 of a second. It's a ridiculously small gap as we now watch Merso come up to the line. Where does he fancy going? Up into the top 4 with a 19.2. So that is Jason, Merso, KJ Gamer, all in a 19.2. Sura. Then you've got Mitchell, Martin, all in a 19.3. Very, very close in that group of cars. I've got Leopard, Limitless, and Jason in the pits, the top 3. Merso on track on an in-lap in P4. KJ Gamer is 5th with Sura and 6th. They are 5th and 6th. And there you go, Kyle Mitchell is out there on the track. He's coming into the pits, currently 7th. Is Martin on a quick one? I think he is. Let's see what TRL Martin can do. Surely another man that can contend for the championship, a man with great pace. James, you've been covering a lot of races in the last few weeks when, well, I've missed out, you know, a lot of midweek action. So you've been watching, and you spoke off air, we spoke off air about who you've been watching closely and who you think's got the pace. Limitless was one. Tell us who the other one was. TRL Martin.
Well, Martin does look, recently he's looked a bit more on rails. He looks a lot more comfortable on the wheel. Does look that bit more confident now, and you can see it throwing it through 11 and 12. So wide on the exit of 12. Keeps it all together, nearly through it into the wall opposite him, and as he down the gears into 13. Look how he used the rear end too wide on the entry, and that's going to cost him his lap time and potentially his lap as well.
Hey, well, it's been 3 or 4 weeks since I've done any commentary, but I'm absolutely loving this track. I'm loving watching the cars race round here. Leopard was on rails. Martin was testing the limits as well there. Great to watch, but unfortunately on this occasion... Oh, what? How? How has he done that? How has he managed to go third?
That's unbelievable.
What?
It was every...
Well,
it wasn't just me, my eyes weren't deceiving me. He was all over the road in turn 30. He wasn't even on the road at turn 30. He was on the grass. He was nowhere near on the racetrack. And he put it third, which for me, Andy, tells you that he's got some time in the bag. He's got something to play with here. In this last few months of qualifying, he could be a real man to watch. Yeah. I think he's had the sandbags in his pocket for 15 minutes. I think he might be driving a Ferrari, but I think he's been having words with Toto Wolff. Goodness me. Well, if he's doing a 19.2 and he's running off the track and losing all sorts of time, good, he must have some serious pace. That is going to be one to watch for the final runs, no doubt about it. Martin on an absolute charge on that lap. James, if you don't mind, could you have a look at his first 2 sector times and compare them with Leopard and maybe tell us if he was on going quicker or what? Have a little look for us. Yeah, let's take...
Yeah.
Whoa. They were merely identical the first sector. I mean, it was a 26.0 for Leopard, 26.0 for Martin. It was just a few 700ths of a second between them in the first sector alone. Sector 2, Martin, I think he's fractionally slower in the second sector, and I think obviously as we saw, third sector, he wasn't going to be quicker than Leopard, I'm afraid, because he was pretty much off the road, and that's where his time was lost. And you can sort of, well, I'm just taking a look at the deficit there. So it's 31.7 last sector for Martin, is a 31.5 for Leopard, which, yeah, they're the 2 tenths that he could have got on that lap, and maybe more.
Well, there you go. There is certainly pace there for Martin to get himself into the 1 minute 18s at the very least. If not, challenge Leopard, it will be close. Let's have a look at P1R Brown. We know plenty about from other racing leagues. His first time appearing in ILR. What can he do? We know he has got pace. He is a winner in AOR, of course, so there's no doubting the pace of P1R Brown as he goes for his one and only lap of the session. We've got Limitless behind him on the road. He will be who we go to next after we see this lap from P1R Brown. So here we go into that second sector of the lap, going past the Albert Park Lake, which sits on the right hand side as we go on board with him down towards the high speed chicane, left and right. What kind of grip has P1R Brown got? A little downshift there, I think, going through that sequence, opening up the DRS on the exit as he powers down towards these 2 right-handers. I like to call them the Lesmos. It's like the Italian Lesmos a little bit. Right, short square of throttle, then another right. But there's no run down to Ascari on this occasion here in Melbourne, and he heads down into the final couple of corners of the lap. P1R Brown then round the final corner. You've got to be so careful getting onto the throttle. You can run it right out towards the wall. What is P1R Brown going to deliver on his opening and only run of the session? P11 for him. On this super soft tyre though, that is a key factor we should mention. But here comes Limitless round the final couple of corners. What has he got? He's going to be one of the first men to see the line. Has he got fuel to go again? We'll have to wait and see. But on this lap, can Limitless go quickest of all? TNL Limitless for the line. He can go quicker, but not enough to displace Leopard. It's a 19 flat. He finds a 10th. Leopard still on top for the moment. James, isn't he?
Yeah, Martin's got traffic, whether he's on a lap or not. I don't think he is. I think he's short shifting to get himself out of that traffic. He's got a bit of time from Jason ahead of him. Jason's coming up towards the line now. Not sure whether he's going to complete a lap. I think he may have. Martin's finished his session. He's just missed out. He's only going to start as high as third. Jason's got another chance. Great lap from Sierra, goes into third.
Yeah, great lap from Sierra. Jason was all over the place in turn 1. He very nearly did a Valtteri Bottas from 2018 on the exit. He gets away with it though. Here comes Murso, currently 6th at the moment. Leopard still on course for pole position down under. What can Merceau do about it? We promised a lot from Merceau this season. I think he can win a race. What can he do in qualifying? Here at Melbourne, he's going for the line. Merceau goes fourth. Great effort from the Red Bull driver to climb up into the top four. Limitless is not going again. Leopard certainly is. And he's picking up a toe yet again from Bastic. I wonder if he's finding any time. We'll see if there's anyone further round the lap. Kyle Mitchell has seen the flag. He's gone sixth quickest. Jason, he's on a quick one. We need to keep an eye on Jason. KG Gamer as well. Holland is out there, but at the moment, all eyes need to be on Leopard. Melanie, first of all, coming around the final corner. What can he do? 16th quickest for the Melon Muncher. Where's he going to go? 14th. Leopard now. Is he improving? No, he has not. But he's on top for now. The only man I think that can beat him is Jason. Here comes Jason for the line. No improvement. He stays 7th. And I think that means to say that in the opening race of Season 3 in ILR, LCR Leopard is top dog, isn't he, James?
Great lap from Leopard. And I said I don't think it would have been beaten, and it was a stonking lap. And all due respect, those last few runs, everyone just sort of tripped over each other. Everyone's just got caught up in traffic. And I think that's what cost everyone on their final attempts. But Andy, look how close that grid is. That is silly. I mean, from obviously Leopard, who is 1.5 tenths faster than Limitless. But Limitless down to, well, let's go down to BZ, let's say, in 15th place, 2nd to 15th. Oh, that is under a second. Under a second. Only just, but under a second between 2nd and 15th on the grid. Quite amazing.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. It just goes to show you, you lose a couple of drivers, a couple of top drivers, we replace them here at ILR with equally quick drivers, and we have got such a competitive field, an incredibly close field. Well, in the bold predictions, not many people mention Leopard. In fact, TRL Limitless actually tweeted reminding people of the pace of Leopard. Well, he's obviously been watching his pace closely, because it is he, the dark horse you might say, going by the predictions being made today, is on top. There he is, the Renault Sport Formula 1 driver. LCR Leopard takes the top spot. The only man in the 1 minute 18s. 2 tenths clear of TRL Limitless in second. Behind that, it's Sira in his debut. The Brazilian driver for Williams in ILR. Merceau goes fourth on the grid, a solid effort from him. Martin, he will be disappointed with fifth. He had more pace in the bag, as we saw on his quickest lap running wide. The Canadian Kyle Mitchell is sixth of all. Jason only in seventh. KJ Gamer is eighth. Holland is ninth, and Bastek rounds out the top 10. We've got Drelix 11, we've got 12 for Rosberg, 13th peeling up round, Melanie, RBZ, Jork and VSR Verstappen round out the grid for what should be a stonking opening race of the season, James.
It should well be, and it's always a case of qualifying is one thing, race pace is another. Leopard, in other things I've seen around here with some of the drivers that we've got here tonight, you know, he didn't manage to beat a couple of them, so there's no reason to say he will definitely win here. There's no guarantees, especially in ILR. We know exactly what happens in any ILR race, and Australia always picks up just a brilliant race regardless. So I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, I really am looking forward to it. TRL Limitless, we know that he, generally speaking, his Achilles heel is always in qualifying. He's got stronger race pace, so even with a 2/10 gap, which is a reasonable gap in a field of this quality, you would fancy his chances to eat into that gap in the race and maybe challenge Leopard, who sometimes, you could argue, isn't always the most consistent, is he?
Mate, perhaps not. It is, as I said, post-race, it was sort of consistency that is going to make you world champion this season, and I think with his sort of case, it's just consistency in the races as well. Because there were a couple of times last season, I recall, that, you know, he did have his off moments, but every driver has their off moments. For Limitless, though, if we refer back to him quickly, got to remember that Limitless never really got anywhere near the... Well, he was on a couple of occasions on the front row, but not as much as he'd have liked last season. And it's a real chance for him to really show what sort of pace he does have when he's in a good position. Because last season in ILR, we never really saw it. Good chance for him.
Yeah. Yeah, for the most part of that opening half of the season, he was following the Ferrari of OMG. It's Joe around. I mean, we know Joe... I mean, he's improved quite considerably as the season went on last year, as the game cycle went on. But at the start, he was quick in qualifying, and his race pace due to tyres and whatever the issue was, he struggled. But of course, to be fair to Joe, as the race went on, as the game went on, he has improved his race pace, and for me, if he would have went into this championship as favourite had he been here today, but because he isn't, it's hard to say that he is favourite. But I'd like to have seen where he would have lined up, but no doubt about it, Limitless, as you say, in a much stronger position to start this race. Let's see where he will finish it. But Leopard, he's the man on pole. We know how quick he is. We know he's capable of fighting for a championship. We've seen it in an ILR season before, over a short season and distance as well. So Leopard, more than capable. Limitless, what can he do? What can the Williams of Sierra do? The first time we're seeing him in ILR action, he's certainly got some great pace, the Brazilian. I'm excited to see what he can do. Murso, improving all the time, P4 on the grid. Martin in there in 5th position. He'll be disappointed with that qualifying effort. We know he's capable of more. Kyle Mitchell, what can he do? I'm excited to see what he's capable of. Jason, we know he's always consistent as well. Rarely picks up penalties, and this track always bites on the penalty count. So be sure to watch for him near the front of the grid come the end of this race. But here they come, all lining up to start the opening round of the season, the top 10 on the ultra soft tyres. We've got Drelex on the supers, Rosberg on the supers, P1 Brown as well, Melanie on the softs, RBZ on the supers, Jock on softs, and VSR Verstappen on super softs. It'll be interesting to see how those strategies pan out for those drivers. P1 Brown, CRL Rosberg, the ones to watch in my opinion. On those super soft tyres, what will they do? But they're all lining up on the grid, and we are ready to go racing here in Melbourne. It's been a long wait, but finally we're going to get the chance to go racing down under. It's season 2 on F1 2018 in ILR, and on Xbox we are go. The Friday night action is underway. Leading away from pole position, it's LCR Leopard with Limitless pulling alongside on the run down to the first corner, but the yellow banana holds the lead through the first corner. Cena running a little bit wide as they all funnel their way through turns 1 and 2 and race down towards the braking zone of turn 3. We're 3 wide in the mid pack. We've got the Ferrari of TRL Martin having a look up the inside of Cena. Is he going to get it done? No, he is not. Cena holds on. Oh, we've got an incident. We've got an incident. Round goes Cena, and in there is Kyle, and into the back of them goes, I think, RBZ, was it? Yes, it was. So RBZ, Kyle and Cena all in the wars on the opening lap, James. What did you make of that?
That was really frustrating for him. I think they've just de-synced between all those guys. But it really was a great start from Sierra. Just got boxed out by Limitless out of turn 1. And actually, he probably had the best start of the lot, did Sierra. Just got mugged off, though, as they headed down to turn 3 by the likes of Monzo. Barsh away out of turn 2. And Martin now up into P4, Mason P5. You can see Holland up there in P6 as well. He's had a good start in the McLaren, picking up the pieces where his teammate perhaps has fallen away at the way side, but great start nonetheless from Leopard, bolted away from pole.
Yeah, great start from Leopard. He leads them then. He's got a 7/10 gap already to Limitless, who has a 7/10 gap over Murso. There they are, going through your shot. Leopard, Limitless, then Murso, then the 2 Ferraris of Martin and Jason, followed on by Holland and KJ Gamer. Let's have a quick look down at the back of the pack. There is Sierra limping back to the pit, along with Kyle Mitchell, who's missing all his front wing, and RBZ as well, who unluckily piled into the back of the Bastic is in the pit as well. But we should go back to the action near the front, because Holland looks quite racy behind Jason, doesn't he?
He definitely does. He's got great pace at times, Holland. We saw it last season as well in the early stages where he was racing, of course, the first half of last season. He was really a gem, I would call him, in the start of last season. Really did pick up some fantastic results back then for As. He hasn't got his joyous teammate alongside him more, so this time around he's going to have to do it by himself, and this is where he really can make a name for himself, Holland. And let's see what he could do against Jason 97 F1, say down towards turn 9 and 10.
Very close to the back of Jason, the man who's so consistent. He very rarely makes mistakes. If you see Jason get a penalty, you will be in shock. It never ever happens. He will feature later on in this Grand Prix if the drivers around him pick up penalties, because he does not pick them up easily at all. He never gives any time away cheaply when it comes to penalties, as Holland continues to chase him. You're absolutely right, James. Holland, a gem last season. He and Murso, I have to say, I don't know about you guys that watch, a fan's favourite, could you say? Certainly a commentator's favourite, those two. Always performing at their very best, always picking up the scraps, delivering a good performance, and they were always very equally matched as well. It was great to watch at times, wasn't it? Sad to see them no longer teaming up, and it was also sad to see Holland miss out on most of the tail end of last season as his TV apparently blew up. So good to see he's got a new TV and he's back in the action. But Holland in P6 at the moment, chasing down Jason and is unable to find a way through. It is a racetrack, is notoriously difficult to make a way through on, isn't it, James? Where would you say is the best place to make a move?
Turn 3, turn 13, I think it's as simple as that. You need to get the run out of 11 and 12 to really size move up into turn 13, the right hander, or what we call the Lesmos around here. That's a good place to make an overtake. Turn 1 can be done, but I wouldn't really recommend it. Turn 3 is obviously the run down the second straight, if you will, with the extra added bonus of DRS. So that's another great place to make an overtake. But Holland is keeping tabs with Jason ahead of him. Only about 0.3 of a second between them, but also up the road, Limitless doesn't exactly lose time to Leopard.
Yeah, he's gaining, isn't he? I've just picked that battle up as you say that, James, and Limitless closing in, and we mentioned it just before the start of the race. We mentioned it before we went on the parade lap, that Limitless stronger in race trim, and Leopard maybe not as strong as Limitless maybe would be, or certainly the gap between them, between qualifying and the race, would shorten, and that looks to be continuing as Limitless is keeping them very, very honest as they start what is now lap 4 out of 29, unchanged between the top 2 spots. Musso up 1, Martin up 1. The big winner, Cyril Rosberg, he's up 4 places. We've got VSR Verstappen up 6 places from the very back, and Jork up 4 as well, up the ticks for that particular man. But VSR Verstappen, I think we've seen that from him before, haven't we? At the beginning of, I think it was last season, or was it the season before that? It's been so long since we've seen VSR Verstappen racing in the top tier. It's good to have him back. But he was picking up lots of places in that Bahrain race last season, wasn't he?
Well, that was VRT Verstappen. I don't want to throw any caution to the wind there, but we've got so many Verstappens, everyone can be a fanboy of them. I think it's Verstappen's first guarantee. Yeah, it's not the same one, unfortunately, no. But no, that's a shame. But nonetheless, it's debut for Verstappen. There's something to of that, and let's see how he gets on. He's had, I think he'd done a couple of races in Tier 2 last year, through some good points. So let's see what he can do in the big boys. And here comes Holland, because he's got a real chance here. Wide open against Jason. The road down to turn 13. I said it's a good opportunity to make a move. Here comes Holland on the outside of Jason into turn 13. And what a move that is from the McLaren. Got him round the outside. Some on the brake. Gets it done. Brilliant move from Holland.
Absolutely lovely. And behind that, it's all kicking off as well. Rosberg and Drelix doing battle. Piona Brown in that scrap too. But that was absolutely beautiful, wasn't it? Right around the outside. You said it, James. That's a place to make a move, and he has delivered with that move as they go across the start-finish line now. In P8, CRL Rosberg, Drelix, Piona Brown, and in behind that we've got the Force India, or the Racing Point, if you want to go back to 2018, as this is the game, of VSR Verstappen. Here comes Drelix, down the outside he goes. That would be a beautiful move. He's going to run a little bit wide and can't quite keep it on the island. And back through goes Cyril Rosberg. That was an ambitious manoeuvre there from Drelix, but in the end, just overcooked it and went a little bit wide, and Rosberg slithered back through the door, didn't he?
Absolutely. That midfield battle, if you remember last season, Andy, was also very, very close, and something we never really picked up on in qualifying. Stay that way, it looks like, as well, because these 4 cars so close together on the racetrack at the moment. Rosberg, Drelix, Brown and Verstappen all within touching distance of each other. It's just interesting to see who will be able to pounce first, if you will. Who's got the best race pace in the lot? Rosberg had some pretty good races, in fact, last season, but well, just had a bit of bad luck here and there. Sometimes pace may have been the issue, dare I say, and well, let's see what he can do against these guys. Drelix sort of falling off the back of Rosberg.
Oh, we got to move. KJ Gamer up the inside of Jason at the penultimate corner. They very nearly done it. Ran a little bit wide on the exit, and back through went Jason, and here comes KJ Gamer once again, having a second bite of the cherry as he runs down towards the first corner. Is he going to make that move? He actually clips the back of Jason. Jason runs a little bit wide, rejoins, and now there's going to be more contact. KJ Gamer and Jason off the road they go. Oh, a huge accident there.
Crash.
That's resulted in a huge accident. Out goes Jason,
Safety
out
car.
goes Piona Brown. And we've got a safety car for the first time in history on the F1 2018 game, and no wonder. Out goes Brown, out goes Jason, and that was a colossal incident. KJ Gamer there, was it lag? It certainly looked like it was a bit aggressive on his part as he and Jason came together.
Yeah, that was crazy. That could have been, it pretty much was an airplane crash. That was mega. We don't often see crashes in this league, I'll be honest. We never really see them, so when we do, I mean, they've thrown out back there, haven't they? That was a massive incident, and not so good for Jason. One of your bets to become a race winner this year. Well, one of his chances has gone down the drain. or down the runoff area if you want to be more illiterate about it. But they're getting the opportunity now. They'll have to overtake the safety car and then close right back up at it again. Trying to get those words out of my mouth. But this does allow some drivers to really start to think about what they're going to do in this race. Those guys are on super soft tyres. This has opened a whole new variable for them, maybe. And it's also a case of when will they stop on the ultras. They are stopping on the ultras. Limitless, Martin. Well, they're all in, aren't they? They're all in the ultras.
Yeah, so in comes Leopard, in comes Limit. Yeah, they're all coming in. Rosberg from the super soft runners has come in. Several of the super soft runners have come in, and they're all going on to the soft. So surely that is a good news for the ultra soft runners. Is that a free pit stop for them? I would think so. So it's worked out well for the top 10 drivers, I would think. DrailX has carried on, and everybody has had to come into the pits and fit either softs or super softs. So that has helped those that qualified on those tyres and hindered those that didn't, because those that were on the softs are going to have to make a second pit stop later on in this race, aren't they?
Yeah, I think DrailX may have just made a bit of a hash of this, actually. I think he may have wanted to pit there and he didn't. That's a slight mistake on his part. Yeah, but I think a couple of years, you're right, have gone onto the super soft tyres. So yeah, you're right, they're going to have to do another pit stop this Grand Prix, no doubt about that. That's going to be interesting to see how quick Jork and Melanie are to do the race as well, but it's just going to close everything up, and that's exactly what we want to see. We wanted to see this race being mega tight. It was tight anyway, but maybe not the moves that we wanted to see. It's Australia, not going to see those kind of overtakes, but nonetheless, let's see what these guys are made of after this safety car window. These soft tyres, they're going to have to manage them a bit, I think, because, you know, 22 laps, that's quite tough.
Well, I'll tell you what, Sira is going to be delighted about this, isn't he? He gets to rejoin the action at the front once again. The other people that will be happy, who else was out on at the start of the race in trouble? I think Kyle Mitchell was one of them, and the other one was RBZ. So those guys brought right back into play as a result of the safety car. They'll be relieved about that. But what will DrailX do? That's the big question. What's his game plan, and what's that all about? How much further into the race can he go? And what car will he put on? Will he have fresher softs than everyone? I suppose he will. I don't think he can run long enough to put any kind of ultra soft on it, so surely it's time to come into the pits. What does he do on this lap? He carries on.
Stays out.
Interesting.
It's interesting. I'm thinking maybe, well, I can't say he's going to have another safety car happening, but I'm sure that's what he's thinking now. Hopefully he can allow that to happen, but not going on the soft this lap is a bit of a risk. It's a big risk, because regardless, he would drop to the back of the field now. If he'd have put under the safety car last lap, he'd have been pretty much the very back of the field. So it's going to be unfortunate nonetheless for DrailX. But we know what sort of a driver he is. He can pick up points where perhaps he didn't expect them, so he could still find himself with maybe a point or two in this race. Who knows? It's a long way to go yet.
Well, I have to say, after 8 laps out of 29, did we think that DrailX would be leading the opening round of the championship? No, we would not, so that's good enough. That's good enough reason for us neutrals in the commentary box to be happy about it. So go on, DrailX, do something different. Give us something to be excited about. Can he make it work? Is there maybe some rain coming later on that we don't know about? It doesn't look like it looking at the skies. And I don't see many of the Aussie fans walking about with umbrellas either. So, yeah, I think that is out the window. But, yeah, a very rare safety car appearance. But let's speak briefly about it, James. What did you make of the incident? P1R Brown out of the race, Jason out of the race. It was Jason colliding with KJ Gamer. I mean, it's hard to talk about it because sometimes it can be lagged, but it certainly looked like KJ Gamer just got into the side of Jason, didn't he?
So I was in this lap, hence why the light's gone off, but quickly, I think the case was there. KJ Gamer had a bit of DRS and for the first time felt the real... It's kind of a weird thing to sort of say, because you'd expect, oh, it's only a game, you don't really feel it, but trust me, with DRS and when you're going late onto the brakes like he did there, you do feel just how late and just how fast you were going. Because it really does wreck up your braking point, and I think that for him, just really done it for him. He did just mess up his braking point entirely there, KJ Gamer. Maybe even not even that, he just went in just a tad too hot, and that just obviously caused the collision. Jason obviously pulling across the road, he went onto the grass, so it's going to be a big issue. So, yeah, that was always the issue, but we're just about to get ready racing again. DrailX has backed up the field enough, and he will get racing.
Yeah, good start there by Drelix. He's raced off into the distance as we get going once again in the opening race of the season. Lap 9 out of 29. It's Drelix leading them across the line to start lap 9. What can he do on those tyres? Let's find out as they go racing down through the first couple of corners. He leads from Leopard and Limitless. What will Limitless be thinking? Let's go back to Holland, in fact. He's on the move. He's right behind Martin. He's going attacking into that turn 3. Can he go round the outside? No, he can't. And Martin holds on for now in that particular battle. Further down, we've got Kyle Mitchell going side by side, 3 wide in fact for a moment there, as he and Bastet come together, and RBZ swallows them up and says thank you very much and moves up into P11. So the midfield battles developing once again further down through the field. But up at the front, the big question is, what does Leopard do? We know he's an aggressive driver, we know he likes to go for moves. Does he take that risk on Drelix when his race is with Limitless, James? What do you think?
Perhaps he might need to. We don't know when Drelix will pit, but you can't think it's going to be that far away for Drelix to make his pit stop. And Leopard is getting such a good drive over turn 11 and 12. You could see the added grip he's got in the Renault at this stage. There's more action behind. Martin getting close as well, and there's actually been a bit of a collision further back, and it is RBZ who's into the barriers and turn 12.
Okay, well he's back going again as we watch Leopard. Is he close enough? Doesn't look like it. I'm going to quickly shuffle back to Martin, who is close enough to have a look at Murso. It's the charging bull against the prancing horse. We've seen this last season, and down to the first corner, Martin unable to do anything about Murso as they race down now towards turn 3, the best position on the racetrack to make a move, and he's unable to do it, and he remains stuck behind him. But look at Drelix really starting to struggle to keep Leopard behind him as the gap now ticks down towards 3/4 tenths. Is he going to be looking at a move on this lap? It certainly looks like it. The field all well bunched up. Limitless behind Leopard. We've got Murso, Martin Holland, Rosberg and KJ Gamer. They all fancy their chances at winning this race. We know how tight the field is, and with Drelix holding them all up at the head of the pack, there's every possibility he can as we lose Kyle Mitchell from this race. He joins P1 Brown and Jason on the sidelines as Drelix continues to hold the pack up, but Leopard is looking racy. He's got the grip, he's got the speed, and he's gaining and gaining on the back of the Haas. Here comes the Renault down towards the braking zone. He has a little dive up the inside, has a look. Drelix looks as if he was distracted by it, runs a little bit wide, and now Leopard fancies his chances on the inside. He forces Drelix wide. Drelix off the track, rejoins the racetrack, runs down the order, comes really close to Murso. Murso gives him the space, and he's through. But look at Limitless. He's right behind Leopard, and this is what we're talking about. Leopard fighting in a race he didn't need to, and that allows Limitless to take the chance. Limitless down the inside he goes, can't quite make it, and Leopard holds on for just a moment, but Limitless is now right in the slipstream. He's right in the race behind Leopard, but he can't quite do it on this occasion, and Leopard lives to fight for another day. Cats have 9 lives, and this Leopard has certainly got 9, and he's used one up there.
Brilliant. From those two, and fantastic stuff as well. Rosberg's got past Drelix as well. Drelix now falling down the grid like a stone, really. Can't do anything about those super soft tyres anymore. And there's Verstappen setting the fastest time in the Grand Prix, but Limitless really on the limit there. Just wish he could have got his nose in and really dealt with Leopard into turn 1. Would have been fantastic to see, but nonetheless, he's only 4 tenths behind him now. So with an added bonus of DRS out of 11 and 12, he's got to get a good run here. 50% of downforce is lost behind the car in front. So let's see how much he's going to lose here. He's just not got the drive out of 11 and 12, and you can see that evidently there. Has to gain it all again in the final sector.
Absolutely, it really is becoming a cracking race between these two at the front. What did you make of Leopard running a little bit wide, slightly naughty on Drelix perhaps? Should he have eased off the throttle and left some room? I think so.
Perhaps, perhaps. So it's difficult to really judge on that kind of corner because there's gravel trap to the left. If it was just a normal run-off, it would have been such a bad issue. But I think nature of the corner means that, yeah, it's a bit naughty, but he may be able to get away with that.
He may, as Martin picks up a 3-second time penalty. There was a few guys picking up one there, Holland as well, so a few of them coming to grief down at turn 1 as Holland is getting really close to the back of Martin now. Sorry, vice versa. Yeah, Holland is getting close to the back of Martin. New teams, new cars, it's struggle to get used to sometimes. You see them all in different cars, but yes, Martin is in the Ferrari, not the Red Bull this season. So Martin, P4, at the moment. Holland in P5 as Limitless continues to gain and gain at the front on Leopard. This really is quite close now, the closest he's been all race long, ever since that move was made to get ahead of Drelex by Leopard. And Drelex has now come into the pits and fitted those soft compound tyres as we watch the leading two through 11 and 12 and down towards 13. Limitless right in the shadow of LCR Leopard, but at the moment unable to find a way through. Leopard, of course, remember, contested for the championship in that first season of ILR, that incredible season where 5 men fought for the championship all race long. On that occasion, it was Danny M7 that came out on top. Limitless, incredibly, yet to win in ILR. Is this to be the day he does it, James? What do you think? Or do you still fancy Leopard? At the moment, I just fancy Leopard, given that he's got the track position and it's so tough round here.
I think, yeah, you're right. It's just getting the drive out the corner at the moment, Limitless. He just isn't, it's almost not biting enough on the exit of a corner. He just cannot floor it on the exit of a corner, where Leopard is just sort of bolting away from that a little bit more. Although at 4/10 of a second, because of the exits and the way Leopard is taking some of these almost high-speed corners, he's just putting Limitless off that little bit more. And half a second now between those two, you feel like really, if Limitless isn't going to get a move done soon, it may be a chance gone. But these races, the nature of this circuit, you get dragged along with DRS, so it may not be totally over for him. Needs to be just to be a bit more bitey, let's say, for Tyrrell Limitless, and we know he can do that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really becoming a fantastic scrap. It's only lap 13 out of 29 in the opening race of the season. We're not even at half distance yet. It has been a cracker of an opening race of the season so far, but I think the early signs are that Leopard and Limitless on race pace at the moment look to just have that little bit more than the majority of the others. They've dropped Murso already to 2.5 seconds behind, with Martin struggling to make any ground in 4th place. It's not been the perfect weekend for him. We know he had great pace in qualifying. He didn't deliver it when it mattered with that error in the final sector, and at the moment it's showing. He's down in 4th, unable to make any inroads. He's stuck in that group with Murso and Holland sandwiching him at the moment in that 4th place as we continue to watch the leaders, but at the moment no positions being made. Let's go down to Melanie, who looks really close to the back of KG Gamer and is threatening a move here, James, isn't he?
Yeah, the silver melon is made of, and down towards 10-3. KJ Gamer got that outside line, which is favoured, of course, but stays ahead of Melanie for now. Melanie did have a couple of good performances last season, but he was struggling that little bit just to find himself getting into those consistent, I should say, points-paying positions. He'll want to see more of those this season. Sierra's not close, not far behind either, and he has got a lot of pace. To say that, he gets a penalty, so commentator cursed that, but he has got pace as the Brazilian, and I know he does. He's pretty much, if you want to call it...
KG's wide and Melanie's through it round the outside. Apologies for coming across you, James. KG just went a little bit deep into the chicane and through it went Melanie. And what's Melon made of? He's made of melons, of course, and he's up into P8. He takes the place away, and look at that. Moving aside there, KG Gamer, for his faster teammate. Is that going to be a theme for this season as Sierra moves ahead into P9 and he can now attack Melanie, but KG Gamer just locking up there, James, and then running a little bit wide, and Melanie pounced and moved up into 8th.
Oh, a small blip. He's very late on that brake pedal. He just prolongs that left foot on the brake pedal. It doesn't seem to stop the car at all, and he's into the wall, into the final corner. I want to say that the Williams team are going to be similar to that of the Haas that was last season. Near enough score podium as well, I think. But just with little mistakes, I want to call it like that, you just need to just get into the groove a bit more. You need to get your head down, you need to focus, and you just need to forget about those little niggling issues. Because he's had a couple this race, there's no doubt about it, it's KJ Gamer, and I'm sure he'd be one of the first to admit that. But, you know, I think he's starting to feel what the pressure is like in this kind of league, because it is a big league, and a fair number of people watch this, so we'll be feeling that little bit hot under the collar, shall we say. He needs to get a bit used to it, but I'm sure that will come.
Absolutely, I'm sure it will. The gap now between 2nd and 3rd opening out to over 3 seconds, so a penalty there between the top two will keep them in those top 2 places. We should mention as we continue to watch this fantastic midfield scrap. Martin getting to within 3/10 actually of Moore, so that might be worth a watch in a moment's time. In fact, you know what? It's worth a watch right now. Let's go and watch it. KRL Martin behind CRGA Merceau, the academy driver for the CRG team. What is he capable of? Can he get that podium in the opening race of the season? It would be a fantastic result for him if he could do that. But do you fancy Martin getting him, James? What do you think?
I think there's a good chance he probably will get past Morso here. Morso's had good pace this race, but just not enough to keep up with the lead. You can see 3.3 seconds, 3.4 seconds now to Limitless ahead of him, and this is going to be a bit of a concertina effect behind as well. All these guys have got a good chance. Rosberg somehow finds himself in 6th place. He was a long way off these guys in the first stint of the Grand Prix, and he now finds himself with a bit of a chance here to perhaps even score a podium.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something we should definitely mention. I think it also shows that maybe Murso's pace today isn't maybe as quick as it would maybe be at some other tracks. The fact that Rosberg's in there, Holland's in there, they're all right behind him. It just shows they're all quite evenly matched on pace, aren't they? And, you know, maybe not today is a day where Murso can challenge for getting that first win, which I do feel will come to this year. And in equal measures, I think Holland is capable of a win this year. I think Rosberg is capable of a win this year. We know that Rosberg has competed for the championship. Okay, he left just before the climax to that season when it was in the 5-car fight. You got to wonder why he did leave when he did. He probably regrets it now because he was so quick at the end of F1 2017 and won a couple of races as well. So yeah, he is very quick too. But as we watch this battle going through the first corner, we've got the Red Bull, the Ferrari, the McLaren and the Mercedes, 4 of the powerhouses of Formula 1, all those teams racing together. It's great to see, and we await to see who comes out on top in that particular battle. We'll need to do a count on penalties towards the end of the race as well. I think we've got another yellow flag. Is RBZ off the road? Yes, he is. He's gone off at the final corner and gone for a spin. It's not been a good day for the Force India driver, and he's coming into the pits. Is he coming in to retire, or is he coming in for a pit stop? We'll find out in a moment, but he is in. As we go back to the front, and the moment Leopard showing a little bit of second wind, James, isn't he? He's pulling clear again, holding the gap at around that 8/10 mark.
Yeah, I think Limitless needs to start either punching it or he's starting to save a bit. I don't want to say that he's saving that, because I'm looking at ARS, he's not got any of it left. So in comparison to Leopard, who's got, not, well, to be fair, not a lot himself, but they're really using it up, this ARS. Well, only lap 17, so yeah, it's understandable. But just interesting to note all the different driving styles we've got between all these guys in the top 6. Well, there's 5 different constructors in the top 6 positions here, which is brilliant to see. 6 in the top 7, if you will. And that is exactly what you want to see in any league race. It's just the variety between teams at the front, and that's what we're seeing once again here, and just helps my prediction a little bit more. Don't think there'll be a 1-2 finish this season. I'm going to hold that thought right till the final race of the year as well. Only 2 teams, now 3, haven't got a car in the points at the moment. Well,
it's coming an interesting battle there in the points, isn't it? It's really starting to tighten up. Leopard though up the top, Bastic in there too. So strange to see all those teams in the points when we expected to be a little bit more imbalanced. But yeah, not been a good weekend for the likes of Force India. Not been a good weekend for one Ferrari driver in Jason. I mean, that was a big accident he had. I would love to have seen what he would have featured later on in this race as Limitless tries to bite back, perhaps getting to within 6/10 now of LCR Leopard. Is he showing that second win now? It's just fluctuating, isn't it? It just needs an error from Leopard to properly get a chance, because it's so tough on this racetrack. What about Martin? Is he threatening to make that move on Murso? I mean, over the piece, Martin has been closer to Murso than Limitless has been to Leopard, and Martin's not been able to make a move, so it just shows how difficult it is as Murso and Martin make their way through the final couple of corners. Still no sign of Martin getting his way through. And the other problem, of course, Martin has is if he goes for a lunge, makes a mistake, he allows the likes of Holland and Rosberg to pounce, doesn't he? And that's not something he wants to be doing.
Yeah, it's a precarious position. He's in the middle of a sandwich here, and it's not a place you really want to be. Morso's not often one to get penalties either, so he's going to struggle on that front as well. Martin getting closer to turn 3, but not close enough, and that's the battle I want to see throughout this season as well. Limitless and Martin had battles last year in the same team. I cannot wait to see them against each other on track in different cars. That is going to be a titanic scrap, I'm sure.
Yeah, I tell you what, James, I was actually thinking about that earlier on, and something to mention in the commentary. I mean, Martin and Limitless, they go back a long, long way. Good friends, great respect, but huge, huge rivals. in the same team, we've seen a few battles against each other. We also seen some friendly, respectful team orders between each other. But now, two separate teams, both drivers back to very near their very best. I cannot wait to see how it pans out. And speaking of back to the best, Martin's found a run and he's going down the inside. Is he going to get it stopped? Yes, he is. He's through on Merceau. He's waited and waited to pounce, and he finally does. And the prancing horse gallops past the bull up into third position. Tyrrell Martin on the charge. Now, what pace has he got? Can he close the gap to Limitless? Too tall in order to close to the finish, but give us a preview of what's to come this season. Now he's in some free air. Great move, wasn't it, James?
Was a great move, but it's just textbook really. Turn 13 teams to play the place today for drivers to make it. We haven't seen so many down into turn 3, but a great opportunistic move from Martin nonetheless. He's now just going to have to cover his mirrors for the Red Bull behind. It's one thing passing him, he's then got to defend against him, because the nature of 3 DRS zones means that you just get dragged along so much, and this is what you'll find more so has got now. Martin's got to show that you've got the raw pace to pull away from the Red Bull, and likewise the Red Bull's got to find some sort of pace to stick with Martin and hold off Holland behind.
Absolutely, absolutely. So there we go. Martin takes the podium spot, moves up into third place. What can he do? Can Limitless do anything about Leopard further up the road? That's the other big question we have on lap 20 out of 29 here at Albert Park, Melbourne, in the opening race of the season. We have lost Jason, we've lost P1R Brown. They came together after Jason collided with KJ Gamer. Jason sent spinning across the racetrack. P1R Brown came along into his path and smashed into him, bringing out the first safety car in a long time in ILR. Yep, that closed the field up and we got going once again. We lost Kyle Mitchell, we lost VSR Verstappen as well. A bad day all round for Force India, as RBZ is actually at the tail of the field as well. As the race gone on, we've seen Leopard versus Limitless for the majority of the race. It's been so hard to overtake him. We've just seen Martin finally fight his way past Merceau up into P3. That's been the big talking points. Sira as well had a poor getaway, had a bit of an incident on the opening lap. Would have been nice to see what he was capable of, as we would have liked to have seen what Jason could do before his DNF, but it wasn't to be. But certainly the talking point today so far is Limitless versus Leopard, potentially versus Martin in the future, potentially versus Sira, potentially versus Jason. What do you think, James?
Well, all those guys will be in the mix, but the one man we're forgetting about here is all of those guys against Joe. Like, that is going to be... Yeah. I think that'll be Titanic. Well, for all those positions. I think Joe will kind of be, and I'm sure he won't mind me saying this, I think he'll be a catalyst to making this championship explode, really. Like, he's going to be the man to just throw his car wherever he feels like it, and you know what sort of a racer Joe is. We've seen it in the past, and it'll be interesting to see how he fares against all these guys, because I think really that is a very, very tight grid if you add Joe to the equation as well. Leopard's got his work cut out, there's no doubt about that. He has got his work cut out, all of these guys have. And they know it. They cannot afford to be off the pace at any point during the Grand Prix. They've got to be right on it if they want a chance of winning any sort of race this season. And he's finally retired down to 12.
Yep, and Force India can finally pack up and go home and come back next week, because it's not been a good weekend for them at all. I have to totally agree with what you're saying, Joe. Throw Joe into the mix and you have got an incredible dynamic for the championship, because Leopard, Joe, you know, they're quick over one lap. They are quick in race trim, but they're not bulletproof. Limitless and Martin, for me, are more consistent, particularly Limitless in recent, looking at last season. And, you know, I think that makes things so exciting. I know Jason's so consistent as well. It's just a perfect mixture of one lap versus race pace. Joe, without doubt, is the quickest driver in the field. He is, over one lap, in my opinion. But at times in the races, he's not consistent, he makes errors, and that's his downfall. And I think that's a great ingredient for the championship, and if Joe can sort out the consistency, he would win it in my opinion. But can he? That's the question. And the fact he's not here for the opening race just makes it even more exciting, James, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, but you've also got to consider Joe, let's give him where some credit is due. He had some great moments last year where he improved on his tyres. Yeah,
absolutely he did. And speaking of which, look at Limitless, look how close he is. Look at this, James, he's right there, 4/10, and he's in the DRS zone. Is this the moment that TRL Limitless pounces on LCR Leopard? They're closing and closing in. You'll need to be careful. We know Leopard is very, very aggressive. Drillix knows all about that. We've seen it earlier in the race. These two are about to do battle. Limitless gaining on Leopard as they race down towards turn 3. Is he close enough? Not quite on this occasion. Leopard locks up a little bit, Limitless gains a little more, but still, Leopard holds the high ground and holds the lead of the race. Boy, oh boy, this is going to be a grandstand finish, isn't it?
It is, definitely, and Limitless was getting punchy as well. Then that's what I want to see. I want to see him just really eking out the back end of that Renault, and he's doing just that at the moment. He's just a half a second behind or so, but, you know, I think there's still a chance here for Limitless. He's just got to time it correctly. He's got to absolutely nail it. Because, to be honest, he may have had the pace all along to get past Leopard. That's the thing. He may have had the pace all along to get past him, but was it worth passing him so early and then knowing that maybe he had the pace to pull away? It's a weird sort of balance you've got to have, because you can make the overtake right at the end and you know, you haven't got to save as much, but we know how Banzai Leopard can be on last laps in Grand Prix. I've only commentated on one a couple of weeks ago, so it'll be interesting to see how he fares here. Limitless locking his wheels into the final couple of corners, and this is going to be tight.
This is getting intense, it is. Here he comes again. Is he starting to punch and punch and punch and go for the killer blow on LCR Leopard? What has Leopard got left in his locker as they go on to lap 24 of the 29? It's a good exit from LCR Leopard through turn 1 and 2. It was absolutely fantastic, because I felt Limitless was good through there as well, and if Leopard had made any kind of error, Limitless would have been on him. He's still on him with a dose of the DRS, but he's not close enough to pounce. I think Limitless is just waiting to pounce on any slight error from Leopard, because on that occasion he was very close, and that was with a great Leopard exit.
This is where experience plays its biggest part. You see so many years of league racing experience compared to years of league racing experience, but nowhere near as much as the man behind him, who's probably got, and I'm going to be honest with you, double, maybe triple the amount of experience that Leopard has, and this is where it's going to be shown.
It sure is, it really is. This is going to be key, but Leopard is no mug, we know that. He is the pole man, the only man in the 1 minute 18s in qualifying, and he is showing some great pace in this race as well. It's not been easy for Limitless. He's got his work cut out if he wants to beat Leopard. He does have that experience, as you say, James, that extra measure of coolness, you could say, in his racing. We've seen it, it's evidence from what we've seen from Leopard, what we've seen from Limitless over the last season or so. It's exuberance, it's raw pace against the wise old head with consistency. What is going to come out on top here in Melbourne? At the moment, Leopard is holding firm. He's got an 8/10 cushion, Limitless with a strappy middle and final sector. And is that what Leopard needed to kill the tide of Limitless attacks?
It would be. I mean, in real life Grand Prix, you see cars just backing off just so they can save the front tyres, so they can have that relentless attack again. I think that's what Limitless is doing here, just saving those fronts so he can go on a relentless charge towards the end of the Grand Prix with about 3 laps to go. That's where he'll start to get punchy once again, but he has to make sure he nails the timing of it, because that is, as I say, that's the most crucial thing. I think he's sizing him up for moving to turn 3. I can't see him getting the run out of 11 and 12. Hasn't really had it the entirety of this Grand Prix, but through 1 and 2 he has had the times where he has looked pretty epic through there, so could be the place where he might move this down into turn 3.
Yep, if I was to put a bet on Limitless to pass Leopard, I would certainly place my money on a move at turn 3. Is he going to get close enough though? As Leopard dropped the sand out of the bag and just disappeared, and I don't think so, Let's see if Limitless has got anything left to challenge LCR Leopard. He needs a good couple of laps and then a late pounce, but at the moment I just feel Leopard has got enough in hand.
He has. He's got a bit in the pocket, hasn't he? He's just pulling it out when he needs to, and that's exactly what he's doing at the moment, just holding the gap between himself and Limitless. And this is actually, I'd say, a mature drive from Leopard. Just hold that gap, maintain that gap between himself and Limitless is something else, to just hold off a relentless charge like you're seeing here between those two. More so starting to close it as well, and tasty with a couple to go.
Yeah, that is getting tasty, isn't it? Mersault fancying his chances at retaking that podium spot. I think we should have a quick visit at the penalty count. I can't quite remember the situation. Could you give us a quick update, James, on first of all the top two? I don't think I've seen any of them pick up penalties, and then the podium battle, because that could be quite interesting. I know Martin certainly picked up one earlier. That could be interesting, as we've got a yellow in sector 1. Who's off the road this time? I think Dralex and Bestek perhaps. Oh, we've got a battle actually. We've got Jort going side by side with Melanie in the scrap for P9 and 10, and Jort Picks up a 3-second time penalty there, and surely that isn't fair. He ran a little bit wide, come on. He was in the middle of a battle, for goodness sake, and the game gives him a penalty. Surely that will be contested by him. But he's P10, fighting with Melanie for a few World Championship points. He's on the Super Soft, Melanie on the Ultras. The Ultras will be starting to die a little bit, I would think. And perhaps there'll be an opportunity for Jock to double his points tally from this race, from 1 point to 2 points, by taking that position away from Melanie. But James, yes, penalty count, what we got? Have we got anything interesting up the front?
There's warnings, 2 warnings for Leopard. Oh, that's changed. Oh no, there is still 2 warnings for Leopard, 2 warnings for Limitless. So, well, this really did put it on a knife edge, really. If one of them get another warning now, they will find themselves with that all illustrious 3-second time penalty, which they cannot afford to get. But look how close Nemesis is getting once again. I said it would be a couple of laps towards the end, start to punch again, and this is exactly what he's doing. He's just trying to get up from the knockdown and, well, get up fighting now as Limitless, because he's really got to charge against this Leopard ahead of him.
This is absolutely fantastic. This is why we love ILR. This is why we love commentating on these races, these titanic scraps at the end of the race. It's on a knife edge. They're both pushing to the limit. They can't afford to make one single mistake, or they get a penalty and throw the win away. They can't make a mistake, because if they do lock a brake and run wide, the other will pounce. It's as simple as that, and Limitless is without doubt closer than he's been at any moment in this race so far. He's right behind Leopard. He's virtually pushing him through the final couple of corners, and he knows this is his best chance yet as he starts the penultimate lap of this race. He has never won an ILR race. Is this the moment he does? He's in the slipstream. He's really close, going through the first couple of corners. Leopard still holding on for the moment, but Limitless is going to try again. Leopard covers the inside line. Surely Limitless will be forced to go the long way round. He tries. Leopard covers to the middle of the road and holds his position one more time, but Limitless has one more chance on the final lap. Can he do it, James?
He's going to have to absolutely, I don't want to use the words I would use, but he's going to have to just drive flat out on this last lap here, because, I mean, the last couple of laps here, he actually got a good run out of 11 and 12. That surprised me, because that's the first time this Grand Prix, it seems, he's actually had the drive to really challenge Leopard into turn 13. He's got to have it again to give himself a chance, and that is what is crucial now, with just a couple of moments left in this Grand Prix.
Here we go again, through 11 and 12. Does he have the chance this time? I think he was a little bit wide going through 11. That's compromised his run through 12. So he's not going to have the opportunity down into turn 13 on this occasion. He has one, perhaps 2 more chances. Turn 3 on the final lap, turn 13 on the final lap. Here comes Limitless onto the back of Leopard. Part of me felt he was a little bit too close going into turn 1 on the last lap. This time he's made a little bit of a mistake going through the penultimate turn, and Leopard should be okay for now. They start the final lap. The mechanics are not making their way onto the pit wall. They're staying glued to the television screens in the pit box, because they don't know if they're going to be greeting a race winner or a runner-up. It's going to be a titanic finish to the opening round of the ILR season. It's Renault versus Mercedes. It's Leopard versus Limitless, the 2 L's doing battle. The 8 L's though, they're winners here in ILR. Leopard against Limitless. Who's coming out on top? Martin at the moment staying in third, with Mursel right behind him in fourth. But it's all about the battle for the lead, for the victory, for the top spot in the opening race of the ILR season down under at Albert Park. Leopard still, at the moment, has enough in hand, has enough in his pocket. He's soaking up all of the pressure that's being put on him by TRL Limitless. This is his last chance. He needs to get the perfect exit, going through 11 and 12.
Oh!
And Leopard's made a slight mistake, and he's going to have a run, a big run. Is it going to be enough though? I don't think so. And Leopard is just going to cling on for now. Limitless lights up the rears in desperation, but surely his chance is gone. And Leopard, who put in that epic lap in qualifying yesterday, has delivered in the race. So much pressure has been put on those young shoulders, but in the end, he comes out on top. LCL Leopard wins a fantastic race here in Melbourne for Renault. He wins from Limitless in second, a fantastic race. Martin third. Mursel gets it on penalties. There's the 5-second stop-go. Martin 4th, Holland 5th, and Cena in 6th, with Rosberg in 7th. What a finale, what a race, James. It was tense. It was brilliant. Black side-by-side action between the front two, but it was still an old-fashioned ding-dong battle, and I really, really enjoyed it. It's good to be back, isn't it?
Oh, it's great to be back, and after races like that, you do want the where all that time went. It's crazy ending to the Australian Grand Prix once again. Limitless just couldn't quite do it to pip him towards the end of the race there. Leopard just soaked up all the pressure. When he went sideways through turn 12, that's it. I genuinely thought, no, he's pinned that. There's no chance he's saving that. He must have been full opposite lock coming out of turn 12, somehow held it all together, and then Limitless, obviously, the ruining mistake. I think that penultimate lap, that penultimate corner on the penultimate lap, if he'd have nailed it, I think there would have been a real chance there down to 13. But nonetheless, LCR Leopard is your winner.
Wow, what a race. I've run out of drink, I've run out of water in the commentary box. Yeah, if the drivers don't mind spraying some in the direction of the commentary box, I wouldn't mind. The champagne is sprayed. It's LCR Leopard that wins the opening race of the season, and it was tight. Very, very tight. And if Joe's coming back next week, and if a few of the drivers put in their finest performances, we could be in for a very exciting season, perhaps similar to the opening season in ILR, where we had 5 drivers contending for the championship. Let's take a look at the final results of that fantastic Australian Grand Prix. LCR Leopard, it's pole, it's victory, it's 25 points. He wins from Limitless, just half a second in it. Limitless P2, what a race between them. Murso, as a result of penalties, picks up 3rd place. What a result for him. TRL Martin is 4th. Holland in 5th. Sierra is 6th on his debut after facing the wrong way on the opening lap. 7th was CRL Rosberg. KJ Gamer, who was involved in a lot of incident, came home in 8th. Melanie got 9th. Drelex got the final point in 10th after that strange strategy in the safety car. Jork just missing out on penalties in 11th. Bastek did not finish. RBZ did not finish. Neither did his teammate in the Force India, Verstappen. A poor day for the Force India team. Kyle Mitchell, Piona Brown, and Jason also retired. But James, a fantastic race, and it's time to head to you for the podium interview.
Absolutely. I'd like to just first of all say I must have called that, because I said Drelex always does seem to pick up a point, even when he doesn't expect it. And, well, he did again here today, didn't he? Getting 10th place. Good drive from him to what looked like a maybe mishap, let's say, under the safety car. But let's move swiftly to the drivers on the rostrum. Let's start with LCR Leopard, your Australian Grand Prix winner. And, well, I think first things first, the qualifying lap. Was there more in the bag? Were you held in traffic? What are your thoughts of the qualifying lap, first of all? It was a pretty good effort.
There was a bit more. It was still a good lap nevertheless. I actually wasn't expecting to pull it out in the real thing. But no, there was definitely a couple tenths in there. From practice, there was about 2-3 tenths in there. So, but no, I got pole and got the win, so I'm happy.
And let's just talk about, you must have felt like there was a lot of pressure on you, really. Not pressure to perform, but pressure to just hold the lead, because for so long, the gap between you and JD was under a second. So you've got to think that, really, you had to hold your nerve in that race, let's say. You had to really show what you were made of, getting your elbows out when you needed to.
Yeah, to be honest, I wasn't feeling a huge amount of pressure up until the last couple laps. So I think it was lap 28 where I had to defend into turn 3, or was it lap 27? One of the two. But really, I kind of knew what I was doing. I had it under control. Tyre wear was a bit worse than expected, which wasn't great, but oh well. But yeah, there was a couple times where I could have got out of DRS, but I just made a slight mistake in the final sector and allowed him back in, which was kind of annoying. So I knew I had the pace to just keep him at bay, which is what I was doing. And thankfully didn't have to defend too much in the end.
Really, I mean, final really, in terms of the
You're cutting out, so I can't hear you. Sorry.
Yeah, you're cutting out, James.
Sorry.
I don't know why it's cutting out. Try again, James. Try again.
Right. Okay.
Try again.
I was just saying, short calendar. When we first raced in our season we've got now, the short calendar, you come very close.
Still cutting out.
Moo.
Seasons. Oops.
Well, I'll try and take it up if we can't fix it. I think what we were asking was, short calendar. Basically, you need to be consistent over those races. You need to have basically, appear at every race. Joe not turning up in the first race. I know JD's missing a race coming up. The race is coming up. You need to be consistent. Do you think, Leopard, over those races, you'll be at every race and you can be consistent over the season? Because it perhaps could be one of your Achilles heel, you could say.
I'm going to be here for every race, hopefully, unless like internet or something like that lets me down. But no, I should be here for every race. Consistency, who knows? Yeah, who knows? I know I have the pace to be flying at the front, but bad luck, bad decisions, whatever can play a factor in the consistency. But yeah, consistency will be key, and hopefully I can deliver that, and hopefully have the title challenge, and hopefully go one better than Season 1 on Xbox.
Well, I was going to mention Season 1 because Season 1, you could argue it's a similar format to this. It's a similar layout. There's only 10 or so races, 10, 11 races. You're used to that format, and you really came alive in the second half of that season and gave yourself a real chance of winning it, and arguably, well, everyone that was in the fight had a serious chance of winning it going into that final race. So do you see that as an advantage? You've experienced it before, you've seen the format, you've raced in an ILR league, and at the heat of the title battle, was there anything you learned from that season going into this that you approached differently?
I think there's stuff I could take from Season 1 and last season even, but I don't think it'll be a huge advantage having the short calendar, because most of these guys on the grid are experienced league racers. They'll know how to take this on, hopefully. So yeah, it should be a good season. Hopefully I can go one better than Season 1.
Okay, well, congratulations on your win, Leopard. Well done, that first win of the season here at Albert Park. Let's move on to second place in the race, and that was TRL Limitless. JD, yet to win in ILR, but you were close today. How do you feel after starting off with a second place?
Yeah, honestly, I'm really, really happy about LTR. Leopard completely deserved the win. In his pace and practice, what he did yesterday, and in the race then as well, for not buckling under pressure. Yeah, he completely deserved the win today, so well done to him, and well done to Morsa as well on the podium. Honestly, I was really, really happy with that. In practice, I had a raw pace with the setup and felt really good, but I was really struggling on tyres around here, and this is a track I've always struggled on tyres around here, so I'm just really happy I literally performed at my peak. In qualifying about a 10th off of what I did, but it wouldn't have been enough for pole anyway. But in the race, kind of lucky with a safety car actually, because my tyres really just, I don't know if it's the dirty air, I don't know if they heat up more behind another car, but I felt I had more pace in them at times, but I just couldn't get close enough to get past. And I don't know if dirty air really affects your tyre temperature or anything at all, but I was just couldn't really get close quite a lot of times. But honestly, I'm really, really happy with that around the track. It's normally not a favourite track of mine, and I actually won't be missing a race this season now. I will be doing every race, so yeah, I'll really aim. Well, yeah, so I really am aiming to try and win the title this time, and hopefully my consistency's been good throughout the rest of the seasons, and I definitely feel I've stepped up on another level so far recently. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, we spoke about that actually in commentary. We were speaking about the bold predictions in qualifying and how we had a few bold predictions, and we said that yourself and Martin in particular had really seemed to have come on a game in the last few weeks and months, and yeah, we're interested to see what you can do. But do you feel today there was a couple of moments that the race could have been won? On lap 28 you had a chance, a half chance to make a move, couldn't quite do it, and then on the final, I think it was just at the start of the final lap, or on the penultimate lap, the penultimate turn a little bit wide. Do you feel you lost the set-up chance for turn 3 by making that slight error?
Yeah, I think there was definitely a chance going to turn 3, but it's so tight around there. I know if I went around the outside, he probably would have pushed me out wide, which he has every right to do. So that was going to be literally almost impossible there. And to be honest, I got 2 warnings. I didn't get a warning for a while. I saw he got one on the first lap because after he completed lap 2, I got the fastest lap, so I knew he got a warning on the first lap. So I was really just trying to put him under pressure to try and really force him into a mistake, to be honest. And yeah, I got 2 warnings with like 10 laps to go, so I kind of had to be cautious. Luckily, we did have quite a big gap behind us. We really did pull away quite nicely, so I did everything I could. And honestly, I don't think I really deserved to win today. He just drove faultless, and he didn't really buckle under pressure. And yeah, looking forward to taking it to the next race. So.
Yeah, absolutely. We enjoyed it in the commentary box. It was a great opening race to the season. We had a really close fight between 2 drivers to the flag. I quite worried, is there anyone else out there? Obviously Joe, he's returning. We know he's got great raw speed as well. You followed him quite a lot at the start of last season on the road. He's going to be a real challenger. Anyone else from that crop of drivers from today that you feel could be a real threat all season long? The likes of Martin Sira, who was involved in an early incident today, are they the main protagonists, do you think?
Yeah, I think this, although we're missing maybe like Surprise and Simon, I think it's arguably going to be even harder probably to maybe even win a race. You've got more so, obviously you've got Leopard, Joe, Martin, Snazzy Evening. I think it's going to be absolutely rapid as well. He's got the raw pace, and obviously VSR Syra. I think there's probably 6 or 7 people who could arguably actually win a race, and more so, I think he literally never gets a penalty. So if you get a penalty, you probably go drop a position because obviously he's rapid as well. So I think whoever just maintains their composure really for the rest of the season, you don't really have to win every race, but I think if you want to win, you probably have to be on the podium every single race, and that's my target really.
Well, consistency was good for you last season, and of course, with, as I mentioned earlier, with only 10, 11 rounds, consistency is going to be key in this championship battle, no doubt about it. And now, is Merso with us? I didn't see him join the party. I popped out earlier on when there was interviews. Is he here? Yes, he is. Great. Delighted to hear that he's here. Merso, talk to us. You must be absolutely delighted. A podium on the first outing of the season. Always good to see you on the podium. What did you make of that race today? Decent race? Decent result?
Yeah, very. Yeah, I didn't really expect a podium on the first race of the season. So, yeah, that's definitely more than I could have hoped for. In practice, I was looking fairly good, but yeah, in that race in particular, they're just struggling with tires and yeah, just struggling to get any sort of consistency. I was making a few mistakes first stint, and then you know the start was decent as well. You know, getting Syra off the line was quite crucial, I think. And then I was just trying to stick with Leopard and JD, but I've got to take my hat off to them. They just left me for dead. I couldn't keep up at all. But yeah, very decent race. Safety car didn't really. Yeah, wasn't really wanting a safety car at that point in the race, but yeah, it's struggling after the restart with cold tires a little bit. But yeah, I'm over the moon with a podium, first race of the season, and hopefully I can keep continuing like this and try and improve that extra little bit to take it to like the likes of Leopard, Limitless, Joe when he comes back, etc. To try and fight for a win. So yeah, it's a good race.
Yeah, well, there was no doubt about it. There was times last season where you were really threatening. The one that I remember, quite well was France. You were having an absolute belter of a race then, and as we mentioned, the likes of maybe Surprise, the top dogs like Surprise and Simon and Evo not racing this season. I made a bold prediction. I said I think you could maybe win a race. Do you go along with that, Mercer, or do you think that's a step too far? It's certainly something you're aiming for, I presume.
Yeah, I think if someone had said that maybe last season, I would have went no way, wasn't capable. But I think I'm improving over the last few months, and yeah, I reckon if I can get it together for one particular race or even 2 or 3, I reckon I could be challenging for wins definitely. Even though I didn't finish third on the track today as well, yeah, I just knew that I knew that the guys around me sort of they had 1 or 2 pens, so it was just about keeping it consistent really, and yeah, just not making mistakes. But to your point, yeah, I think a win's possible this season. Don't know when it'll come, but hopefully it will.
Well, usually very consistent as well. You and Holland had some good fun last season, and then Bastic, you carried it on. They were so closely matched. We and James love watching you guys battle on track because you seem to get every ounce out of your potential. And you know, as you say, if you get it together one race, there's every chance that a race win could come along. But yep, that's it. That's it from you all. Thanks for joining us, folks. Thanks for everyone coming for the interviews, and well done to the top three on the podium. That's all from the Australian Grand Prix. What a way to start the season. It's a short season. I'm sure the title race is going to go all the way to the wire. That's all from us here. That was the Australian Grand Prix. It's goodbye from me, and sadly I don't think James is with us anymore, which is a shame, but we'll see you next week for the next race. Goodbye.